here with you, Kierston, means so flipping much, and I think you fucking know that already. How much I admire your work, you as an artist, as a person. But not everyone else does. Not everyone is as familiar with you as they should be. So I guess we can talk a little bit about how you got your start as an artist and how it's morphed over time.
I have been drawing since I was a small kid, getting in trouble, drawing on my homework in kindergarten, drawing on whatever piece of paper I could find, just finding ways to just kind of get these stories in my head out. It's kind of like I started drawing as my little comfort. So when I was younger and then up until my teens, I would just draw in my sketchbook. So me and my sketchbook and me kind of just telling stories and just instead of writing them, just kind of drawing out scenes. So went from that to where I am now.
It means so much to me. Seriously, those things are idyllic to a lot of our childhood and nostalgic memories.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to take a drift or a little walk down memory lane and see these vibrant use of colors, these bold use of colors. And not just bold use of colors, but these bold women who are also represented in these works. So, of course, thank you. Because not many artists are highlighting multiple body styles and variations of pigmentation as well as attitude. You know what I mean? And it's such a stigma when it comes to Black women about how attitude can be misrepresented or unwelcomed. When in this case, attitude is celebrated. And all its likeness and its variations as well, just like the body types, which is beautiful for me. So what would you say your role as an artist is?
Definitely kind of being a mirror to my community. So my art, it's me in some ways, but it also reflects who my audience is. So Black women of all different shapes and sizes, colors, but especially people who feel misrepresented and maybe not seen in media. So larger bodies, dark skin, that kind of thing. People who are kind of ignored or just kind of seen as other physically, but in my art I try to make them the star. So you'll mainly see people with tummies and just kind of their stretch marks, imperfections, that kind of thing. I just think that it's beautiful and it should be celebrated.
Absolutely. Just like our scars, those internal and external.
Yes.
Because they mold us and make us into stronger individuals, more or less. And it broadens perspective on what all life entails. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's great because obviously women have these different types of journeys that truly change and transform our bodies over time. Yeah. Whether it's a menstrual cycle or puberty, gaining boobs, and curves. And even childbirth, growth spurts can also result in stretch marks just as well as, bearing a child. So, every tale is different, but usually the result is similar, which is, it's poetic here. Anyhow, try and keep my focus because honestly, I don't think you realize it or realize how much your work means to me personally because I've always deemed true artistry to mimic that of realism, to mimic that of serious work, you know what I mean? It has to have this message that will present you as a serious artist and someone to be taken as such. This represents that as well.
Yeah, I went to school for graphic design, but I studied art history. Like, I was almost a minor in art history. So I always loved that the art can kind of just be like the measure of what was happening in that time. So it was like what social media is now. That's what the artists were doing, just documenting everything that was happening. And so when you look at art where back then where there were like voluptuous bodies and that kind of thing, and like that was celebrated in that time. So I think about that a lot with what I do now, because I just want my art to kind of show what I see all the time and what I'm documenting, what I think is beautiful and what's happening in our time now. So,
and the way you represent your vision of beauty allows folks to take a trip into your world of imagination and for them to realize that these things can also hold beauty, which is just as powerful as having like multiple women represented in all shapes and sizes and colors as well. I wanted to touch on like, because obviously all of your work is impactful, but with the range from like large scale dials to like these more or less smaller handheld versions, and how you've also created accessories. You also have like these really cool smaller versions of just more or less head sketches or facial pieces. And then you also have your like very detailed illustrations, your coloring book, dope ass fabric you're printing, custom fabric. What has been like the biggest joy of this whole venture, and what is it that you have the most fun creating?
I think the most fun is always still the smaller paper dolls. It's such an intimate process for me. So I've always loved to make characters and kind of like, I'll name them and kind of like, this is her story. That goes from like, not just how they look on the outside, but just the way that their face is showing who they are on the inside. So I've always enjoyed experimenting with them, because they started out I started them in 2016, so they would all just be kind of this straightforward, traditional kind of doll pose. So just finding ways to push that, and I have some that are turned backwards, and just I've done mermaids and things like that. So it's always fun to experiment in that small scale. But I always go back to just traditional drawing. Like the little mini sketches you'll see me make, that's kind of like goes back to my sketchbook days when I was younger, where I would just have a bunch of paper and I'm just drawing. So it's very, very like therapeutic almost to just put music on and just draw these little things, and just that's where I always go back to, basically.
I would never say almost therapeutic. It's truly healing.
It is, yeah.
It truly is. And I think and of course this is just my opinion, but I think when artists create from that intentional place for healing purposes, it does that for its audience in a very, not so straightforward way, but it sits with you. And I think that's a gift in itself. Truly amazing. Yes. So I think we already spoke a little about how storytelling shows up in your work, but are there any like personal stories that have shown up in your work?
There are. My solo show in 2020, Without a Stitch, it's kind of about these dolls where we're kind of like peering into their intimate kind of private life, which is a theme that I really enjoy with the dolls. It's kind of like we're looking in their world. It's kind of a voyeur kind of thing. So I always kind of like want to show these women that don't have this so-called perfect body or look or whatever the case may be this week, but they're doing regular mundane things just like the rest of us. So just looking into their life and just seeing how we're all different but very much similar. So that's a theme that always runs, and I kind of take some personal inspiration, I guess. So I don't always feel like I let myself be very intimate, or not intimate, but vulnerable. So trying to kind of give myself a lot of confidence when I look at the dolls and how they're very confident. It's not always, I don't always feel that way, but I put that in my dolls, and that helps me, I think, to kind of be more confident and appreciate my body where I'm at now, and just love myself on the journey. And I love that because I get compliments from people who say that I see myself. I've never seen my body on like this, and I see my body like this. So through your art, so.
Absolutely, and you made it endearing. You go all in. Like, we're displaying tattoos. We see like an immense amount of beautiful accessories. Hair is like very key in a lot of these pieces because it also shows like the beauty and the daily transformation of a Black woman's hair. All of these things, which, you know, are either mimicked or stolen or, you know, or not fully welcomed, but, you know, they've been beautified. And with that on top of like signature body styles, you like there's so much here. And obviously these are works that so many different communities of people, mostly women of course, need, especially in a time where women aren't celebrated as much, you know. And patriarchy seems to be looking to fuck us however they can, but like then you look to things like this and you're reminded of the multi-strength and beauty that all women carry. Yes. So highly acknowledging this duty you've taken to acknowledge all women and to create like this broadened scale of representational works. So does that responsibility of creating representational works weigh heavy on you, or is it something that you wear like proudly as a badge of honor? Because I know talking to different artists who are Black or otherwise, but from, you know, usual BIPOC or minority bases, feel that like immense pressure to represent, you know, a body of people.
I understand that, like feeling like that's a heavy thing to carry, but for me, it's important for me to like show what I know and what I'm comfortable with, and just if, like for example, if it was a white artist, no one would say like, oh, you're only painting white people, or like you're painting white men and you're a white man, do you feel like you have to do that? It's annoying that people have to ask that, and I know that it's a thing that happens because of who we are, but I feel like I'm just painting what I know, and I'm glad that it's giving representation to us, and it's another way that we can see ourselves in a different way and not in a negative light either. So
no, that's great, and that makes sense. Honestly, that was the most like straightforward and original answer I've gotten, seriously. And not to take away from anyone who's answered that question, because everyone is truly within their own realm to feel however it is they want. And being an artist gives you like that leeway to create whatever the fuck you want to as well.
Exactly.
So there should not be like a guideline or basis for how you create, who you create, who your audience base is, and like all of those things. But that free range, because it's obviously representational, but was it intentional?
Yeah, like you're making Black subject matter, so you're gonna be categorized as a Black artist regardless. But it's like, am I a Black artist because I'm making art like this, or is that just who I am? So
it's that part. Oh,
Yeah.
Kierston, I'm so much more in love with you than I was before, truly. You kind of spoke about your earliest influences. So I guess we'll like tie that into what your art had, the images and your creative process in the beginning versus what it looks like now.
Like back beginning, like
we can go as far back. We can go as far back as you like, or I guess it's as far as you know.
There's two routes for sure. So I've always just said I'm gonna be an artist when I grow up. I've always loved to draw, and I think I make Little Me proud to say that I am an artist. So that was a journey, but yeah, I've always loved to draw, and that's just always. Whatever I end up doing, if I'm making the large dolls, if I go into murals, that kind of thing, I'm always gonna be someone who loved to draw and illustrate. But as far as like, I would say my professional art career, maybe around 2015, 2016, I started to actually not draw everything in my sketchbook for myself. I started to make individual drawings and post them on like Instagram was big then, and share things, which was a leap for me because everyone kind of knew that I loved to draw, but no one really, there was nothing ever for sale, that kind of thing. It was just, this is what I do. So doing that, and then starting to do like little market events and selling those small things. That led to making the paper dolls. That led to making small earrings, and I made like little pins. Just touched them.
No, you're fine.
But I would make like little, like lapel pins and stuff. So that is around when that stuff started. And then I just, one thing I feel like I make sure that I continue to do is have imagination and like allow myself to sketch and come up with new ideas, and then I get anxious if I don't do it. So I'll give myself like a goal, like you have to do this coloring book, so you need to work on that. So I'll do that. I did the coloring book, and then it's like, okay, well, what else can I do? What else can I try? So I'm always trying new things. I'm always excited about a new material or like a new medium to try, basically. So yeah, that's where.
So out of all the things and projects and like various creative outlets you've explored, what is one that you still look forward to like dabbing or dipping a toe into?
That I haven't.
I mean, there's so much you have done, so you haven't really left room.
Well, I started embroidery this past year, which was really fun. Sewing, I think, is something I'm getting close because I just got fabric, but I'm really going to use that in a non-seamstress way. So actually, like, learning how to sew has been something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I think, and maybe making my own clothing, that kind of thing. So that's something I would like to try. I'm sure there's more. There's a list of things. I make a list every year, and I'm like, you're gonna do this year.
But you've probably crossed off many things already.
Yeah, I have tried quite a bit of things, and I feel like I'm one of those people that just kind of wants to try too much, and then I'm like, okay, gotta reel it back some. Mm-hmm. So if I can get something done on my list, in the year, and then I'm like, okay, at least you did that, so we'll try again.
Oh my goodness, I think you've done an incredible job, especially keeping on task, and never limiting yourself.
Yeah.
Like, to be an artist and to start a career making these really beautiful dolls, but it can be so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done that. And honestly, I'm speechless, truly, because growing up, like, all girls, well, not all girls, but most girls gravitate towards dolls because, well, back in the day, that was only one of our only choices, excuse me, in terms of dolls or toys.
Yes.
You know, we didn't have many options. But then to, like, take these dolls and to make them into this movement,
Mm-hmm.
that is something else completely different.
Yeah.
And I, for one, would get dolls, and I grew up a tomboy.
Mm-hmm.
I was not into the dresses. I was not into, like, Barbie and dollhouse this or whatever. Really nothing. Like, I would dress up for special occasions, but I would not be happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
When I would receive dolls, they would stay in their boxes. No lie. They would look as if they had just, you know, been on display, and these are 5 and 6 year old dolls. So I resented that.
Yeah. I was, like, really into, I don't know if I was into dolls because I would say I was a tomboy. Like, I had, like, a Big Wheel and, like, He-Man stuff as much as I had, like, Rainbow Bright. Like, this is how old I am. So, but I'm the oldest of 4. I have 2 sisters and a brother. And so I played with them. Like, my baby brother, I'm 11 years older than him. And, like, my sister that's right under me is 4 years younger. So that's all we would do. Like, I was like 17, 18, and we would have like all the dolls out, and we would be like making these little like soap operas with them. Like, I just play with my little brother and sister. So
I love that. And I feel bad. Excuse me. Because I have, like, what you just, so many similarities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also have 3 siblings. I also have 2 sisters and a brother.
Yeah.
Me and my second oldest sibling we're 3 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
The one underneath her is 4, and my brother, I think, is about 8 years younger than me. I never play with them. Never.
I got to an age where I was like, now I'm grown. So, but
I think I just jumped right into it. I heavily resented them for, like, taking this attention from me and, like, all these things. So I was, like, not that friendly sister that you could come in and we, like, no, we like banter, let's play with dolls, tea party, not that girl. But they would come in my room, they would take my dolls, they would play with my dolls because they didn't look like they'd been played with. They looked like they needed that attention.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So with that, all of that, it brings me back to maybe why I didn't want to play with those dolls. Maybe why I didn't feel like this was something that was made for me. I got a lot of white dolls growing up.
Yeah.
There were black dolls. Don't get it twisted. I had a Brandy doll. She had extension braids in her head and everything. But I also got, like, a Rose Duet Picator doll. Not everyone knows, but she's, like, the main female character in Titanic. These lavish ass ball gowns and things of that nature that she came with. And
I'm like, what am I gonna do with her?
Thank you. Thank you. So I think if I grew up playing with dolls similar to this, I would be more inclined to actually play with my damn dolls.
Yeah. That makes sense, for sure. I used to make, like, little paper dolls for my brothers and sisters too, but, like, my notebook paper, like, I would cut out the back of my notebook and, like, draw the little flip tab.
Yes.
So we would play with those too. We would throw down.
I love this. The birth of a new, like, that's crazy.
So these are, I feel like play and, like, that nostalgia of, like, play and toys it comes through with what I do now as far as like the colors. Like I love bright colors and vibrant colors, and just making dolls that look like something that I want to play with for sure. Like we definitely did not have a lot of black dolls.
Not
either,
at all.
So
it makes me curious. How do your siblings? I'm pretty sure they're proud, but like, have they expressed to you like how they feel about the dolls that you made versus where you started? Like,
they have not, no. But like my little brother, he moved to New York now, so he's a teacher, so
cool.
He does get to kind of interact with kids and stuff, and I wonder if he takes a little bit of that from me. I don't know. And my sister is the mom of all my niece and nephews, so she's got some babies to her.
Well, I bet that's really cool though.
I had the twins come to the gallery and help me paint, and my younger nephew, and I was just like, oh, look at them. And now they're gonna be 16 this year, so I'm sad because they're getting big.
Yeah. But I truly need to pick my words better when it comes to acknowledging your work. But when you make things like this, like, it must hold true to those around you who can, like, sense the pride in these works. But not just in that, but in the person who made it, and how, like, that close relation can also blossom into creating another, future artist, which would be the world could use more. Anyhow, is there any advice you'd like to give someone who'd look up to you?
I would say don't stop doing whatever it is that you're doing. Like, things don't come like right away, and you might have ideas and you're not able to do them the way you want to do them, but keep doing some form of that idea and that dream, and just keep putting in the work, and it'll be acknowledged. And you'll be surprised the people that are watching you and rooting for you. Because I think artists, we tend to just be like, okay, well, no one knows what I'm doing. Nobody really appreciates this. I go through those things, and I know it's not true, but sometimes we can talk ourselves out of doing things and
Absolutely.
trying things. So just my advice would be to not listen to that voice and talk yourself into doing things and keep going.
Absolutely. Fear holds us back often.
Mm-hmm.
And with your fearlessness to dive into so many different aspects of this artistry has allowed you to grow into this exemplary artist, which is dope. Absolutely.
Thank you.
If you guys don't know, Kierston is an artist in residence at 5 Points Art Gallery and Studios. Definitely check out her work. You can follow Kierston if you'd like to keep apprised with her collection and all future creations.
It's K.E. Ghaznavi, my last name, Ghaznavi, illustration, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's all under that. So,
and you can also purchase some of her works on the 5 Points website. So check it out. This is Brittany Walker with Genre Urban Arts and the Revolutionary Arts and Culture Residency, as well as Kierston Ghaznavi, an artist in residence at 5 Points Art Gallery and Studios. And if you don't know, you definitely need to know and find out. Go find out for yourself. Go check out 5 Points Art Gallery and Studio and make it a second home.